Okay, I think we can get started. So first of all, thank you so much to everybody today, and welcome to our event. So the title of today's topic is What Makes a LinkedIn Profile Stand Out? And we have Cara Hernandez and Anne Kelso here to speak to us today. So we're so excited to have all of you here as part of the Seattle Women in Tech Consortium Speaker Series, with this month's focus being on recruitment and on LinkedIn. So my name is Emma Ryan, and I'm one of the leaders of the Seattle Women in Tech Consortium. We strive to put Seattle on the map as a place for women in technology by collaborating with existing women in tech groups to help connect women and allies in the tech industry for job support, for opportunities, as well as for community building. So a huge shout out to our volunteers and for all their help. This community would not run without you all, and for the promotion of this event, and to Cara and Anne for graciously volunteering time and expertise to be here. And thank you all to the audience also for being here. So in 2021, we set out to host a speaker series and some topics of interest to the community. And so we're delighted a year later to be able to continue to offer these exceptional events. And so you will see us hosting a monthly speaker series on topics of choice. I will send out a speaker series link in the chat. So if anybody within the audience has additional topics that they would like to suggest as future speaker series, we would love to hear from you. A little bit just of kind of admin for today. So we will be recording, and we hope to share within the community as a follow-up after the event. We've seen a huge amount of interest in this, and so we know this topic is coming also at a very appropriate time. And so we want to be able to share this information as widely as possible. And so you will receive an email shortly with a YouTube link, which we'll upload to our YouTube channel. So we would also love if you could share this after the fact with anybody who couldn't make it here today. Additionally, we have enabled Q&A for this session. So if you have any questions throughout the session, please do use the Q&A functionality. And then also later on, we will be enabling the floor to ask any questions, and we can grant mic permissions, and anybody can come off mute and ask questions directly to Cara and to Anne. And so with that, let's give a warm welcome and hand it over. So Cara, Anne, welcome to the Seattle Women in Tech Consortium Speaker Series. And thanks a million again for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with us.
Thanks, Emma. I'll start. My name's Cara, and as Emma said, I am part of Global Talent Acquisition go-to-market here at Microsoft. I support industry solutions for the most part, but we're super excited to be here and presenting this Light Up LinkedIn with everybody. So Anne, do you want to introduce yourself and then we'll get started?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Anne Kelso. I have the privilege of being in the recruiting leadership at Microsoft, and I'll be also help monitoring the questions. So feel free to pop your questions in at any point. Don't save them all for the end. You can pop them in at any point, and if they're applicable to the topic at hand, we'll totally cover. And if not, we will absolutely be saving some time at the end for lots and lots of questions. Also, we'll be giving some guidance later on connecting via LinkedIn, but I'm going to give you all a caveat and a free pass for this particular topic to connect with both me and Cara freely and openly on LinkedIn without following the guidelines we'll share later. So I do expect to see lots and lots of LinkedIn requests from today.
Totally. All right, well, let's get started here. There's going to be three big and main areas that we talk about in terms of steps to truly light up your LinkedIn profile. The first one's going to be optimizing. So it may take some time and it may seem daunting at first, but definitely, go into it knowing that it's going to take some time to put your profile together and make it complete and compelling. But we'll start to walk through everything you need to do to craft your profile to make it the way that you would like it to look when other people are looking at it. So that's optimizing. And then build. So building your network, and like Ann said, we'll talk a little bit about kind of how to build your network, different steps to take, especially when you're connecting with others, and to really make sure that you're being thoughtful when you're growing these relationships as well, and just when you're connecting with people. And then finally is engaging. So as I mentioned, a great profile and extensive networking can only get you so far. So it's really being able to figure out how to engage with your network and to make an impact. So we'll start by digging into some of these areas. And like we said, please ask any questions that you have in the chat and we will answer those as we go. Okay. So when we're looking at the LinkedIn profile, there's a couple of things that everybody's profile has. The first one's going to be the profile photo, which underneath the profile photo will show your headline in the industry, where you're located, all of that good stuff. That's pretty easy to set up. Where the bulk of your time's going to be is going to be in your profile summary and then your experience. And we'll spend more time in the next coming slides to go into more detail on how to set up each of those, what to include, kind of how to format it to get the most appeal, like eye appeal. And then also skills, endorsements, and recommendations we'll spend some time chatting on as well. All right, so some of the best practices that we'll go through, these are simple, but when we're looking at a profile photo, try to make sure it's high quality, easy to see, good lighting if you have a picture that has the good lighting, nothing crazy in the background that would be super distracting, and then maybe put a smile on, look warm and welcoming as well. So these are just some examples of a profile that meets those criteria. So spend some time. If you need to have a friend go take some headshots for you, spend some time doing that. But that's just some easy best practices when we're looking at a profile picture.
And it doesn't have to be a professional photographer to take your photo either.
Totally.
I don't, Kara, I don't think you were there, but one time in person, we were doing one of these and so pre-COVID, obviously, a couple of years ago, and we took turns standing up on a stool and taking a photo of each other just from that little slightly higher level with our phones. Excellent quality.
Perfect. And then the headline and industry, like I said, it's right below, as you can see here in this example, it's right below the profile picture. So in this example, she's obviously a pilot. So using industry keywords, so whether you're in technology or whatever you may be, obviously this group is technology focused, but making sure you're being specific to your role as well. If there's anything unique that you can include that somebody might relate to and be like, oh, that's unique and that's different. Let me look more into this profile. And then making sure that we're keeping the industry that you're in and your location updated as well, especially if you're trying to look for new opportunities or anything like that. As recruiters, if we know we have a role that's specific to an area and you had recently moved and you didn't update it, some people may or may not look just because it doesn't meet some of the qualifications and requirements they're looking for. So make sure we are updating that as well.
Ooh, great question in the chat from about a headshot, about dressing professionally. Not necessarily. I would say be you, be relaxed. I would try to maybe not have a logo on a hat. Actually, a hat would be weird because you couldn't see your face. But to have any like big, bold logos or words or anything on there, but you know, casual t-shirt, shirt. I'm looking at Amy Arnold, who's one of the participants who's joined us today, and she is standing in front of something amazing that she's just done with her arms outstretched. So also shows a little bit of her personality. So those are perfectly acceptable as well, but no suit and tie is required.
All right, here we'll spend a little bit more time. There's going to be 2 slides that we focus on when it comes to the profile summary. What we're looking for is a little bit about who you are. Tell a little story about who you are, what you've done, all of that stuff, and then go into some detail about what do you do. and explain kind of what you do on a day-to-day basis, whether you're still a student or you are in a new role. Just kind of explain to somebody who doesn't really know what you do, and they're able to read that and understand. This next one is a little bit specific to Microsoft, but I think it applies to everybody. We talk a lot about our impact and what impact we can make, but that's something that also translates to any other company as well. What kind of impact are you going to make or you have made that's been successful, whether it's working with customers or making an impact on your current team, just being able to kind of share and almost brag a little bit about yourself on what you have done and been able to do as well. And then if you have any passions, I know for me, for instance, a big passion of mine is I still coach high school lacrosse. So I like to give back. And I think that that is something that's unique to me or unique about me that maybe some people wouldn't know. So just being able to kind of tailor the profile summary to yourself. It doesn't have to be paragraphs and paragraphs upon paragraphs, but you do want to put a little bit of meat and substance into it as well.
So I would also call out here, this is not meant to be a mirror image of your resume. It's really almost like a calling card. Remember back in the day, we used to all have business cards. It's like a business card plus, where you're giving just enough information for people to want to be a little bit more curious to learn more about who you are. And it can be very conversational as well. So think about, I met somebody at a barbecue and you're talking about yourself. Oh, I work at Microsoft. I get to work in talent acquisition. Oh, what does that mean? It means I get to bring wonderful people into the company and help them find the right role for themselves. So thinking about it from the who am I and how would I describe myself maybe at a barbecue versus a very structured, rigid resume type of profile or format. This is your personal brand, or better, an introduction to your personal brand.
Perfect. And then here is, oh, that's a nice little, there we go. Entry. So here is a profile summary. It was like little curtains going across. That was weird. So here is the profile summary example that we've used. So 40 words or more. You don't, like Ann said, you don't want it to be everything that you would get into in your experience, but be able to explain what you do and somebody would be able to understand from reading these couple of paragraphs exactly what you do. Make sure it's written in first person. And like I said, highlight those accomplishments. What was your impact? What big things can you put in there that will stick out to people, and people are gonna be like, wow, let me ask Ann what she did in this example here. And then making sure the media is rich as well. And then it does take a little bit of time, so don't feel like you have to sit down and write it in one sitting. If you need to take some time, write a couple of paragraphs out, step away for a bit and come back and finish that, totally cool. Just know that it is going to be kind of like what you would say at a barbecue or your elevator pitch, whatever you'd like to call it. All right. Moving on. So this is the work experience. So this is where you'll break down each role that you've been in, each job you've had. If you've had, education, which levels of education you did, if you went for your master's degree, all of that good stuff. This is where you get to put in all of that information. Some best practices when we're looking at the work experience is, as you can see up top in the first example, it's just a bunch of bullet points, which is great, but it doesn't really tell the story or get us a good understanding of what you were doing on a daily basis in your role. So if you keep it to short and concise paragraphs where you're just stating what you did, but a little bit more substance around it, that will be easier and more helpful for people to understand when they're looking and reading at your profile or reading your profile. Again, same thing as the profile summary, making sure we are writing in first person, highlighting results, demonstrating upward mobility as well. I think this is where you're going to also put some time into going deeper into your experience in the roles that you were in rather than kind of the profile summary as well. So again, you'll spend a lot of time in these two areas, really strengthening and adding a lot of substance to your experience and profile summary.
Oh, Lindsay, you took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to just chat about. So if you've been at a particular company for a number of years, then but you've had, let's say you've been at a company for 10 years, but you've had 3 different roles. You want to call those 3 roles out specifically so that it doesn't appear that you've been in the exact same role for that 10-year time frame, that you're really highlighting the different roles and the different areas of impact and opportunity that you've had within each of those different roles. It also can show and highlight that, hey, I've been at this company for 10 years, but look at it shows some upward mobility, but it also shows some phenomenal learning opportunities. So when someone is looking at your profile, they're going to think, oh my gosh, look at Kara. She's been at Microsoft for 10 years and she's gotten to grow and learn and be there for a very long time. So great question, and definitely want to highlight each of the different roles within your current organization. There's nothing worse than somebody getting excited about working with you or at your company and having them go and see that you've been at the company for 15, 20 years, but you only have one job listed.
Yeah, that's a good call out for sure. All right. Last thing we'll talk about is the skills, endorsements, and recommendations. So the hard and the soft skills come up more when you are doing searches. So it gives more visibility when somebody is looking for specific skills that you may have. So really trying to include some of those skills, whether it's the soft skills, hard skills, and then including your volunteer experience as well. And then it comes to recommendations. If you're going to ask for recommendations, more power to you. That's great. It shows that, you've done other, specific projects and different things like that. What I would recommend is making sure that if you're going to ask for a recommendation, that you're specific on what kind of recommendation you're asking for, whether it was Ann and I worked on a project together 4 years ago or 2 years ago, and I would like her to recommend me because I was working as a project manager and the project was successful. Be specific when asking what kind of recommendation and for what project you worked with that person on when doing that as well.
How important are recommendations to a profile? Well, they don't hurt, but again, having them be specific. So good question, Emma. So let's say I'm applying for a different kind of role. So I've been in a technical role for a while and I want to go move into a project management kind of role, or I'm a new college graduate and I am really kind of wanted to jump into my first role. Let's just stick with the project management theme for this question. I'm going to want to reach out to team members on a group project that I worked on in college for a specific class and say, hey, I'm applying for project management types of roles. In your recommendation, can you please highlight how I impacted our group project for XYZ class in this capacity? So you're almost leading somebody to what you'd like them to highlight for you in terms of the next role that you're looking for or what you want to do next. So true statement, whether you're a new college grad or moving from one role to another, or even if you're moving from a role as an individual contributor into a manager kind of role, give people some really clear direction on what it is you want them to say about you. What media is rich in your opinion? I would say if you have, okay, great example. I'm going to link to this presentation that Kara and I are doing with you all today back on my LinkedIn profile. So anything that you've delivered, that whether it's video or an audio, or you've written a paper that you can then link back to your LinkedIn profile, would be fantastic. I think it's important too to highlight the hard and soft skills piece here as well. I kind of think about the skills perspective on the resume in a couple of different ways. One is, as Kara mentioned, when a recruiter is searching or a person is searching for specific skills, the more skills you have highlighted, whether it's the hard area or the soft skills, those are going to pop up. But the other thing it's going to do for you as you are navigating through LinkedIn is it's going to give you prompts to see other people who have similar skills to you, and LinkedIn will suggest that possibly you know them or would connect with them because you have similar skills. Hope that helps.
All right. Okay, so this next slide is my favorite slide of the presentation. And when Ann and I were putting this together, we did some research, and even though this presentation, we made some new, unveiled, yes, exactly, unveiled some new statistics that LinkedIn does. So, why LinkedIn? I guess we can start with first is, when we're thinking about all the different social media platforms that are available to us, it can be overwhelming. You can be jumping from app to app constantly between Instagram, Facebook, whatever it may be. But LinkedIn was just the way to really bring in and specifically be a platform that is for work, networking, all of that stuff. So it also allows you to communicate your professional brand. So that's kind of why LinkedIn, but some stats that LinkedIn has provided us with, and the reach and the impact that LinkedIn has is there's 850 million members in 200 countries and regions throughout the world. That is insane. It like blew, I think the other one that used to be on here was like 250 million LinkedIn members or something like that. And now we're at 850 million.
Growing every day, for sure.
Yeah. Another crazy statistic is 6 people are hired a minute on LinkedIn. So that just shows you how powerful LinkedIn can be, especially when you're looking for new opportunities, whether you're looking to move into your next role or you've just left, you're just graduating school and you're looking for your first role out of school. Definitely leveraging the LinkedIn and the network that it has and the ability to hire people, because 6 people hired every minute is wild. That's a crazy statistic. And then 50 million people use LinkedIn to search for jobs each week. And that's crazy too. Actually, earlier today, I had a family member reach out to me on a position that Microsoft had that was posted on LinkedIn. And I was like, this is just perfect for the conversation I'm going to be having later today. And then 95 job applications are submitted every single minute on roles that are posted within LinkedIn. So some crazy stats that we wanted to share for you. And then you can see the breakdown of where all of the numbers are throughout the world. All right. Next slide. So this is building your network. So we'll go over a couple of things, and then Ann, I'm going to tap on your shoulder for the discovery that we had earlier, whether you're on your app, on your phone, or if you're on the web browser. But to start building your network, who should I connect with? So there are really no rules around this, but there are ideas and thoughts on how you connect with people. When you're thinking of connecting with somebody, if you know them personally, they're a friend of yours or whatnot, or you've worked with them in the past, that's one thing. But really thinking and looking at your invitations thoughtfully. So who will add value to your network? Will you add value to their network? So it's not necessarily about quality, it's about quality, not quantity, excuse me. Got it mixed up, no worries. So it can definitely be tempting, and there are sometimes I get on my LinkedIn and I have like 10 connects waiting for me, and they're people I have no idea, and it's basically just like a blind connect. Yes, it would be easy for me to just hit accept on everybody, but really being able to take a step back and being thoughtful about building your own network. It's okay. You don't have to, and you don't have to accept every single invite that comes in. But if you want to, you definitely can, but it's really being thoughtful around making the connections that are going to help build your network as well. And then when we're looking at, I guess, quality control, always connect with people that you've met in personally or who write notes as well, and sharing the reason why they would like to connect with you. Maybe you guys have a lot of mutual connections, or they want to pick your brain about something. And so especially if they've taken the time to write you a note as to why they are connecting with you, should definitely hold some weight in your eyes as well.
So and on that note, I do strongly encourage you, as you are connecting with others, to include a personal note in that connection. If you're using this QR code feature that is part of the app, or you're adding somebody via just the add button that is in the app, it will not give you the opportunity to add as a note as to why you want to connect to that person. And again, for today's purpose, no note required. I will accept any connection request from anybody from today. But generally speaking, if you want to include that note, typically better to use your web browser versus your app, just for those instant connections. Kara, we should move a little bit quickly through the last couple of slides as well. Okay. So we want to have plenty of time for Q&A.
Okay, perfect. Groups, similar thing. Great feature on LinkedIn. They're just another way to boost your visibility on your profile. So other benefits are, if you are looking to join a specific area, or you want to be in different users or anything like that, groups are going to be a good way to meet people as well. You can join 50 max, but you can obviously leave groups as well as you wish.
I'm sure you're all part of the Seattle Women in Tech Consortium group that's on LinkedIn. So it's a great way to think about, if you're not sure what groups to join, go look at what your connections have joined and what groups they're in. That might give you some ideas of places where you can have additional networking opportunities.
Perfect. And then I'll spend a little bit of time on this slide, but this is just looking at engaging. But once your profile is complete, we definitely recommend that minimal, you post 2 to 3 status updates each week, whether it's a cool article that you just read and you found interesting and you'd like to share to your network, or you're looking to hire, or you're looking for a job. Posting consistently so you can get visibility as well. And then just to let you guys know, for optimal engagement, the best times to post and update are Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, either at the beginning or the end of your workday, for people to engage. Hashtags, similar to how hashtags work on different social media platforms. If you use hashtags, it's going to leverage the either be broad or niche to whatever you are hashtagging as well, but no more than 3 hashtags per post is a recommendation. And then that is all.
We have 15 minutes for Q&A, so let's fire out the questions.
Brilliant. So I'm going to enable microphones for the audience, and whoever has a question, if you would like to come off mute and ask your question directly, that would be wonderful, or else feel free to also use the chat and we can read out on your behalf.
Hi, I have a question.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
My name is Lisa Weber. Hello. Thanks for this presentation. And I've applied for a role at Microsoft, and I am looking on the dashboard. And is there a guideline for how long it might take to hear back? Or if I haven't heard back already, is that already some information that I need to take into account?
Great question, Lisa, and a little bit outside of the LinkedIn, but happy to answer that for you. First of all, you've done the right thing. You applied directly to the role that you were interested in. That is, especially for larger companies, that is the first step and a great requirement. We pride ourselves on trying to keep as current as possible with the candidate profiles and where you are in the process. So consistently checking back to see if your profile has been updated would be appropriate as well. There's not necessarily a specific rule of thumb in terms of the length of time it would take to get a reply back. It really is going to depend on how quickly and how many applicants that the recruiter and the hiring manager together are going through. But that is, you're in the right spot. So you did the right thing.
Thank you. So it could say in review until, and then the next step would be to actually get contacted.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
So while we're on the topic though, I will also say it's okay to apply for more than one job. It's weird to apply for 35 or 40 or 50 jobs at one time, but it's totally acceptable to apply for 3 to 5 jobs at any given time.
I see Chris and actually myself have similar questions, which is Chris's phrasing was, are there algorithms that boost or increase your spot in searches if you post more often? My question was, any suggestions on how to show up in LinkedIn searches?
So for showing up in LinkedIn searches, I would say utilize the skills sections. And in your descriptor, as you're doing your first person descriptors for your tagline, for your work related experience, think about those opportunities of impact and thinking about how you're describing the role that you're doing. The other little trick that I have used myself is I might go look at some of the job postings for the roles that I want to do and that I'm applying for and see if there's any similarities in the verbiage and the way that the role I want is described and the way that I can describe the role and the work that I currently do in order to make those connections happen in the words.
Great advice. Some feedback in the chat around, this is perfect. I've been wanting to update my LinkedIn profile for a while, and so have to jump to another call, but this is, a great push to do so. I think we've definitely all been in that vote, and so it's great to be able to get tips and tricks to really make sure that we're also optimizing our time to, invest in our LinkedIn profile.
I would say too, updating your LinkedIn profile, like similar to updating a resume, can feel like this huge, daunting, oh my gosh, I don't have 3 hours to do this sort of endeavor. And it doesn't necessarily have to be. So if you haven't updated your LinkedIn profile for a while, maybe don't start by immediately opening up your LinkedIn profile to try to start doing those edits. Maybe grab a notebook or an open Word doc or something in your OneNote where you can write down some of the things that you want to highlight for maybe over the period of 3 to 4 days or even a week or so, and capturing the things that you've done and that you do on a daily basis. And then you can use that information to help fill in your LinkedIn profile. By the way, it's going to be good for your resume update as well. But just starting small and maybe like, okay, I'm going to work on this for 20 minutes and then I'm going to come back to it in 2 days, or give yourself a little bit of reward. Okay, if I work on my LinkedIn profile for 20 minutes, then I can give you 10 minutes of, for me, it's a word search. I love a good word search. So that would be my personal reward. You all might have a music thing or a specific TV show that you want to do, but take it in smaller chunks. We have a question from Chris about, as a recruiter, how much do you utilize LinkedIn as a search tool for passive candidates versus sticking to applications only? We do a mixture of all of those things, Chris, in helping to find the right person at the right time for the right role.
Yeah, I'll say sometimes we reach out to people, or people have applied, or we've reached out to people who might not be looking, and they decide to look into something, or at least look into it. So it's definitely a good mixture of passive candidates and active ones as well. There was another question.
Oh,
I'm a pharmacy.
Yeah, the pharmacy faculty student want to make an internship in a pharmaceutical company. What should I do in my LinkedIn account? Should I add the virtual events that I attended? Yes, you should add the virtual events that you've attended. I might also look at some of the internship advertisements for the pharmaceutical companies that are in your target, not just your one target, but your target demographic, some of the other competitive companies as well, and see how they're phrasing their job postings, and see if there's anything in there that you might be able to leverage in your descriptor of what you're looking for, as well as the descriptor of what you've done in the past.
And if you haven't had an opportunity to have an internship, you can take some of your experience and maybe different projects and things that you've done during your schooling as well to showcase some of that, as those projects impact that you've had as well, for people to be able to see that.
Or volunteer experience. That's
Yep.
Those are legit too.
There was a question in the Q&A about the industry-specific terms, and if these are what is used to show up in the results on search. You mentioned skills also, being able to, kind of flesh out that section. But in terms of industry specific key terms, anything that you would recommend there in terms of highlighting, for example, like technology, or for example, pharmacy, anything specific there in terms of key industry terms?
I think the more specific you can be without being so narrow that you have you're part of a super small result list. I think the more specific you can be. I like to think about, like, what industry am I in? What am I doing? What tools am I using? And what are the results that I'm driving or helping to drive as a result of all of those things coming together? How far back in time? Ooh, Lisa, that's
good
an
one.
amazingly good question. As far back as it's relevant, like it, and you may find that you can start to bucket some things together, like, first 10 years of experience, I did a variety of roles in recruiting organizations, or, once you've been in the industry for a while. So I would say as long as it's relevant is how far back you'd probably want to go. And also remember that LinkedIn is not about a mirror image of your resume. So LinkedIn, if your relevant work experience goes back 5-6 years, that's cool. And then you can just have like a little tiny section that says other experience outside of this particular area of expertise, or something like that. Expired certifications, remove or not. That's going to be up to you, Michael, whether you feel like that certification is still doing you some good, even if it's expired. But just be really clear, if you put it on there and it is expired, that you're not misrepresenting it and having it the perception that it's still good or not expired yet. Great questions, everybody. All right, updating your LinkedIn is no joke. It's not an easy thing, so don't expect it to be easy, but don't let it stop you from doing it little bits at a time. And if you get stuck in updating your LinkedIn profile, please let me know. I'm happy to help.
Totally, likewise.
There was one of the examples that you showed earlier had a branded header and a branded kind of title image. Is that something that you recommend, or do you recommend keeping your the image that your profile kind of shows, the header image, I suppose I'd call it. Is that something you recommend, having it branded based on the company that you currently work for, having it more personal, having it more generic? Is there any tips that you could give us there?
Oh, that's a
good
great
one.
question, Emma. I would say, like, for us, because we are recruiters and we're ambassadors for the organization. So if you are a marketing person or in recruiting or HR and you are working with others that are outside of your organization, I love the branding because it creates some consistency and it also showcases a little bit more about the company that you work for. So some of the Microsoft branded examples might have like, this is what it looks like on campus in Ireland, or this is the campus picture in Abu Dhabi or something like that, so you can leverage some of those pieces. It's not a requirement, but it can also be a conversation starter.
We've had some more questions. Does premium LinkedIn give more chance for job opportunities? I don't think so. I mean, Anne, do you know any different?
It gives you different search capabilities, but it doesn't necessarily show different job postings.
Yeah.
And then do you have recommendations on how to make your profile stand out when you're in college and applying to entry-level roles? Amelie, and I hope I'm saying your name right. The first thing I would suggest is go to the Microsoft.com/careers page. There is a whole section for interns in terms of how do you apply, what do you want to do to stand out. There's even interview guidance. And I would say that that might even be applicable outside of Microsoft, but feel free to leverage us for your own good. And I would say the other thing I would say is adding in projects that you've done in college, volunteer work that you've done, any internships, even if they're small, to put those things on your profile as well, so that you can highlight that not only do you have a degree in X, Y, or Z, but that you also have a little bit of experience and you're showing a passion for learning outside of the classroom as well.
Andrew, and we'll send this slide deck on slides 6 and 7. It will help talk about how to make your profile, your about me, your profile summary, and some tips and tricks on that.
And Lisa, I think if you're looking for work and you're going to this is my personal opinion, if you're looking for work, you should advertise the heck out of it and broadcast that in any way possible. And so if you want to add the open to work piece into your, and again, that's my personal opinion. I think the more vocal you can be when you are actively looking for work, the more opportunities are visible to you. Thanks for the question, Lisa.
Excellent. And I believe that basically brings us up to time. Is there one or two more questions that you want to cover in the chat?
So Andrew just asked about making his about me as outstanding as possible. If you go back to the impact piece, where are you? What is your role? What tools are you using on a daily? And what are the impacts? Did you take a big process that was 8 weeks long and make it into a 2-week thing? Did you reduce budget? Or spend? What were the specific outcomes of the work that you did? That will help make your profile stand out as well.
Excellent. And Cara, thank you so much for giving us all of your time and sharing your vast knowledge with the community. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you again to all of our volunteers kind of behind the scenes who make these speaker series sessions happen. And thank you to all of the attendees. We really appreciate you turning up, asking such great questions, and being really engaged in the content and all of the discussions which we've had today. So thank you, everybody. What a brilliant lunchtime, or depending on where you are in the world, evening, topic of conversation. I think we all have concrete next steps to go and update our LinkedIn profiles. So thank you so much to everybody again for joining, and really looking forward to following up here. And you should see some posts also on the LinkedIn profile from the Seattle Women in Tech Consortium to make sure that we're sharing this information as broadly as possible. So do feel free to connect. next, and we shall definitely stay in touch. Thanks a million, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.